Welcome to the Tee Off.
Ooh, spill that tea, sis.
This is how we like to start our show off. We like to spill some tea on our favorite athletes and some of the crazy situations they get themselves into. This week, we're going to talk about none other than Jesus' favorite son, Tim Tebow himself. What, you got something to say?
You gotta stop.
Say it with your chest.
You gotta stop.
Stop what?
The man has not played football in 7 years.
All I said was that he was Jesus' favorite son.
If he were Jesus' favorite son, he would have risen from the dead 2 days after his last stint leaving the NFL, not 6 years later. No.
Okay, so A, he wanted to play baseball first.
He did not want to play baseball.
And I have a question. I have a question for you, DeMarcus. Is it more miraculous that he raised from the dead 9 years after his last regular season game?
Don't.
Or less.
Do not make the argument that Tim Tebow is more miraculous than Jesus Christ. This blasphemy. This blasphemy.
I wasn't even talking about Jesus. I was just saying, is it more of a miracle that he rose from the dead 9 years later or less?
I call it white privilege, not a miracle. There's a difference to this thing.
Look, depending on who you ask, Jesus was white too.
Now that's funny.
All right, let's talk about it. Everybody, if you don't know who Tim Tebow is, he is a college football legend, possibly one of the greatest college football players to ever play the game. He played at Florida, and this is very important. He played under Urban Meyer. He won 2 championships at Florida. He leads in basically almost every quarterback record in that division. Then he played for the Denver Broncos. He took a super struggling team on a massive win streak into the playoffs, beat the Pittsburgh Steelers at home, and actually won a playoff game. And then he kind of disappeared and had some other stops, bunch of failures, failed out, ended up playing minor league baseball for a couple of years with the Mets, trying to make it to the majors, never did. Now, fast forward 5 years later after doing that, he is reportedly going to sign with the Jacksonville Jaguars as a tight end, a position that he has never played before on, I think, any level.
Nope.
All right. DeMarcus has already had more than enough.
Listen, some players spoke out about this, Des Bryant included. Do you have the quote from Des Bryant?
So Des Bryant says, so Tebow haven't played an NFL game in damn near a decade, and it's that simple. No hate, but you got to be kidding me. Honestly, and that's not it. Like, the Darius Slay from the Eagles said, it's mind-blowing to me that Kaepernick has no job, but Tebow does. Devin Bush on the Steelers said, Jaguars' decision to sign him as a converted tight end. Tebow got a job before Kaepernick. Wait till we play Jacksonville.
Listen, it's not right. Listen, let's time out. We know why he got the job. You said everything you need to say in his little introduction. He won a national championship like 15 years ago. Two of them. Well, I'll say first one. If you're old enough to have seen those games, which means you're probably at least in your mid-20s, maybe early 30s at this point. This is true.
Yeah.
That first one, he wasn't a starter. He came off the bench.
No, that first one, he was a gadget guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely that. But 15 years ago now. And so his little playoff run, he went 7-4, so not miraculous. Good record.
What was the team before he showed up?
He took over like 4 games in, something like that. But that's
no, they were. I think if he went 7-4, that's 11 games.
Oh, I'm sorry, 5 games.
Okay, yeah. So they were like 2-3, maybe 1-4,
something like that.
Something like that. Yes. So that is actually a miraculous turnaround.
7-4 and had a miraculous play in the playoffs to beat the Steelers.
Tebow time. 4th quarter, he's like, "Hey Jesus, you got me." Redirected pass with the Holy Spirit.
There's a reason they were down in the 4th quarter. I'll say that. If you remember back to those days, way back when, there's a reason. And this is okay. You kind of glanced over a couple things here. The first thing is he did have more chances at quarterback in the NFL. He had stops at the Jets
and the Patriots,
and I believe the Eagles.
Oh, I didn't
under
know
Chip
about
Kelly. So he had at least 3 more stabs at the NFL quarterback thing. The story is very well known that when he was on the way out of Denver, they asked him where he wanted to be traded, it was either go to the Jets, who are the better team, where he likely wouldn't play, or go somewhere else. I don't remember exactly where it was, but it was a team where he likely would have been able to play quarterback.
Was it Jacksonville?
I actually think it might have been Jacksonville.
Yeah, because he's from the area.
He's from Jacksonville. He turned it down.
Yes.
So this is not he was a talented and he's getting another shot. No, he was not talented enough to make it in the league. He could not consistently throw the ball accurately.
Yes, as a quarterback.
Now he is 33 years old, has been out of the league 6 full seasons, but really closer to a decade, and is going to switch positions at one of the now most athletic positions in the game, tight end, where we just saw someone like Kyle Pitts get taken, who's like 6'4", 230, runs like a 4.3.
Yes.
How does Tim Tebow help this team? Even if you're like, he's a great guy, he's good for the locker room, he motivates us, yada, yada, yada. Who's going to listen to the third string tight end to motivate them? Who needs that? Are you listening to the third string tight end? If your job depends on it?
Look, it's not. No, but I'm also not in the locker room.
Then what's he there for?
We don't know yet.
And
we haven't seen it.
Why is he getting this chance when other people haven't?
Who are the other people you want to talk about, DeMarcus?
In fact, the worst tight end last year that got cut off of the worst team is more deserving of this opportunity than Tim Tebow. I don't even have a name. He was more deserving, though. He actually played tight end and studied the position and played last year, probably played in college, probably played in high school. Why does Tim Tebow deserve this chance more than him or more than a Des Bryant or more than anybody who's at home?
Is it really about what he deserves?
Yeah, absolutely, because this isn't it.
Okay, so the first thing I want to ask you is, a lot of people have been making the comparison to the fact that, similar age, Tebow and Kaepernick, not similar resumes. One of them went to a Super Bowl. Look, that's just undeniable. The resumes are not similar. One of them went to a Super Bowl as a quarterback, right? And the fact that Collar couldn't even really get the tryout Tebow got. Do you think that's a reasonable...
Well, he didn't get the second, third, and fourth chances that Tebow got to begin with. Even though he was successful, had some injuries, came back, played pretty decently, and was going to play again the next year, then there's this whole controversy that happened. And that's why he didn't have a job, not because of his skill level or talent, that's the exact reason why Tebow was playing AAA baseball. And the reason he's not doing that now is also talent. He wasn't good enough to hack it. The dream is dead. He needs to move on. And this is a common media line this week, but I think everybody's right. That said it. He needs to move on. Most people's NFL dream lasts 3.5 years on average. You had a great college career. You had some miraculous things happen in the NFL. Great story. You got the pictures, the photos, the whatever you got, t-shirt, the hat from whatever, winning the division. Move on. Be a broadcaster. Live your life.
What if he wants to play football?
Have your beautiful wife, etc. Only people who get to play football until their mid to late 30s are people who are really good at it. He's not really good at it anymore.
Look, what if God came to Tebow in a dream and he was like, now is the time. You, Urban, I heard y'all live 3 doors down from each other. It's time for your comeback.
You think God came down and told Tim Tebow it was time for his comeback?
From everything that I've heard about Tim Tebow, he's basically a prophet.
It's more likely that God actually blessed Steph Curry's ankles than he came down and told Tim Tebow to come back.
Hey, look, Mark Jackson blessed those ankles. We gonna have to give that man credit where credit is due. He hit them bitches with the holy water.
Look,
and they have been tight
I don't know what they
since.
did. It was honestly good, but that's more believable than this. I'm just going to tell you.
Okay, look. People have made this a lot into a racial issue, particularly because of the Kaepernick angle. And I'm going to be honest. There is a racial element to this story, but it is not the one that people are going for. Colin Kaepernick was actively blackballed by the NFL because of a political stance that he took to kneel during the NFL anthem. Tebow was just not good at football. Those are two very different things, right? So the comparison is poor because people may have said Colin Kaepernick could not cut it, but We know by that fat ass settlement he got in court that was not the case. We know by the public apology he had to get from the commissioner of the NFL, Roger Goodell, that was not the case. But instead, it was a systematic blackballing of him. That is not what happened with Tebow. Motherfuckers love Tebow.
Still, that's why he's got this job.
Exactly. Now, this is just another case of nepotism.
Mm-hmm.
That is really what this is. It's another case of nepotism. And this does apply in a racial lens. We talk about this. The people that generally get the positions of power happen to be white guys, right? And we know that people tend to hire people that look like them, have similar backgrounds, beliefs, and most importantly, people just hire their boys. And we know Urban Meyer gets this job, he's going to hire his boys. So the racial element of this is not that, it's racist that Tebow gets this opportunity and Kaepernick does not. It's actually the trickle down of the people that we put in power, such as head coaches in the NFL. We have talked extensively on the Fly Route podcast that the NFL has a head coaching problem when it comes to choosing head coaches of color. And that is largely because the owners of these teams functionally are independent contractors, and they are mostly white guys who hire people that look like them, have similar beliefs and backgrounds. That is the racial element of this story. That's just plain nepotism. There ain't nothing to do about that. If Tebow wants to play fucking football and he has the connections to get the opportunity to play football, I don't think it should be beholden on Tebow to deny himself that opportunity if that's what he wants. Y'all say give it up. Look, Urban Meyer wants to hire his boys. Most people that get into that position of power want to hire their boys.
It's not a matter of if he can get hired, it's if he should be. And if he should accept it. Because even from the Tebow angle, personally, what does this look like to peers of his who either were in the league, like the Pounceys, who I believe, or he played at least one of them, or someone else, right? It looks like he's holding on to something that's not there anymore. He looks desperate. Yeah, that's not a great look. Like, he could go, this is not about money, I don't believe. Tebow, I am sure, had made plenty of money. He was a first-round draft pick when he came out. Did a little guest commentating on Fox or ESPN for college football, could easily go back and get a commentating job. Everyone loves the guy. He's a great public speaker. He's motivational as hell. This ain't about money. This is purely about his desire to play and being delusional enough to believe that he still can. And Urban Meyer should have been a good friend and been like, bruh, love you. I'll hire you as a coach. You can work for the team. You can be a consultant, do whatever, but I can't give you a roster spot. Not just because he doesn't deserve it, but because what does that say to the other 50 some odd guys in the locker room who have worked super hard to get where they are and he hasn't? What does that do for Urban Meyer, a brand new NFL coach, being able to gain the trust of his other veteran players?
So I agree with that claim, like that statement. A lot of people have mentioned that it is something that could hurt his credibility in the locker room. And this has Chris Doyle written all over it again. For y'all who don't remember who Chris Doyle is, Chris Doyle was a former strength coach for the University of Iowa's football program. Urban Meyer then tried to hire him on the Jaguars. There was a ton of backlash because Chris Doyle was dismissed from Iowa for basically being abusive to players and making racially insensitive remarks. And if that happened in Iowa, you know he was doing something extra wild. But he forced it through anyway, through everybody's, questions, concerns, etc. And ended up causing a massive meteor storm, and Chris Doyle ends up having to resign later on. This feels like we are replaying the same scenario with Tim Tebow, but Tim Tebow has basically never done anything actively controversial ever. Besides trying to play football at 33.
Well, loving Jesus was controversial for him for a little bit. People were like, he should stop talking about Jesus so much. And I'm like, I don't have a problem with that. That's his thing. If that's not your thing, ignore the dude, keep it moving. But yeah, he should just move on.
Look, I hear you. Now, what if Tebow actually ends up playing and being decent?
Still wrong.
Do you think Tebow actually takes any snaps at tight end like that? He's not going to block. He's never blocked in his life.
From what I understand, they're going to have him some gadget plays, some packages where he's kind of like a H-back, where he comes out of the backfield and he's run some short routes and maybe catches the ball. I don't know. Will he start? I think definitely not. Will he take any snaps at all? I'm sure Urban's going to throw him a few snaps here and there in the game, but I don't think any extensive playing time. I think, like we have alluded to, he's there more for motivational purposes and team building than anything else. Ironically, I think that's what he hurts the most.
Okay, I just want to hear from all of our listeners. What do you think about the Tim Tebow signing? Hit us up in the comments. If you're listening on YouTube, just comment below. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, etc., get us at Facebook, Instagram, etc. And that was your tee off.
Ooh, spill that tea, sis. Spill that tea, sis.
The fly route pod. The fly route pod. The fly route pod. The fly route pod.
We want to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to listen to this video. Did you know that this video is part of a larger Fly Route podcast? Look us up wherever you watch podcasts. We are on Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere. Take the time, subscribe. We appreciate you.
While we have you here, don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button. And while you're at it, don't forget to hit the notification bell. Otherwise, you will miss some of our YouTube videos. That's just the way YouTube works. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the Fly Route Pod.